small puddle after the tide recedes. Matt is cautiously approaching. There's a snapper swimming in the water. As Matt prepares the pose, he threw the javelin at me. The fish immediately ran to check. The javelin exactly hit the snapper. It looks like dinner is already there. These are the legendary Bermuda Triangle. The living environment here is extremely harsh. They say it's very difficult for AI to stay on the island 3 days, even though the island is surrounded by the sea. But on the island, there's almost no fresh water to drink. Not only that, in the sea temperature, the highest during the day exceeds 40 degrees, so this challenge can be said to be fraught with risk. From the very beginning, the survival duo were forced to separate. A man fell into the sea with the plane. The rest of us parachuted and landed in another part of the island. Right now, their most important task is to find each other. But clearly in the cool location of Joe's not as important as the supplies on the plane. I saw plane debris floating on the sea. Matt didn't hesitate to jump in to collect supplies. Meanwhile, on the other side, Joe is occasionally calling out Matt's name versus Matt's. Joe considers company more important, but along the way, he didn't see any wreckage. So I decided to go to the other side of the island. Walk for a long time. G discovered a small lake in the center of the island. Even though I want to check in, but think of a companion who's still alone. He gave up the idea of checking. In front of me there is a big tree. With cover up immediately. Want to use the altitude to observe the terrain. I can't believe 7 failures. Because the view from above, it's almost no different when you're on the ground. This makes him very upset. On the other side, Joe's eye for safety didn't show. A little worried. Instead, he's soaking in water and tinkering with the plane. In the debris pile, there's some circuit boards and other supplies. Maybe one of them is the key to finding a rescue. And now Joe's voice is ringing. Joe from a distance saw his companion are soaking in the sea. My eyes are also excited and walk quickly back. The eyes right now. The survival duo can have fun fighting together in the wild. Because there are sharks in these waters, they have to dismantle quickly the wreckage of the plane to get the useful parts. But not long after, the tide rises markedly faster. They both had to pull the wings together. I want to take it to shore, but the wings are full of water. You can't pull it up to the shore with your hands. You both have to bring 10 items. The road back to the island is not safe. There are many dangerous creatures in the sea. It's not just electric jellyfish, stingray poison, but there's also the black shark and the deadly tiger shark, so they have to be extremely careful. Very quickly they reach the shore and reach the pasture area. They need to discuss their next plan. Joe suddenly remembers RA on his way to find. I saw that little lake. It's probably fresh water, so he couldn't wait any longer. And carry waterproof bag. I'm going to get some water to use. But the unexpected thing is, even experienced people have 7 days of failure. Joe confidently tasted a sip of water in the lake. Just feel the taste and the expression. The error of judgment is clearly the sea. Joe is more scared than 7. If there's no fresh water nearby, what that means is, you and Matt could be dehydrated at any time, leading to exhaustion. On the other side, Matt is not idle either. He stays in the meadow area, inventory supplies. Although these materials don't seem to have any direct use, but just a little improvement. They're going to be life-saving tools on a deserted island. And then Matt started wandering around. Find a suitable place to camp. After a survey, he decided to pick a bush area, not far from the meadow. This place is covered in trees, can resist wind very well. Not only that, this feng shui land also has a sea face. They can watch in real time, ships passing by at sea. At the same time under the sea, the eye also detected another plane wing. This wing is very well preserved. It can be used to build a camp. The plane's wings are full of water, hard to pull to the shore alone. At this point, Joe bowed his head back to see Joe depressed. The eyes are not 7. Instead, he excitedly told me about his discovery. If you can't find fresh water, set up camp first. So they both started to go overboard and pull the wings. The plane's wings are very heavy. It takes a lot of effort to get to the shore. And then put the wings up and pour all the water inside our... It will be much easier for both of you to carry. Upon arrival at the chosen location, use the rack to erect inclined airplane wings. A simple camp was formed. Although the conditions are somewhat primitive, but luckily they both kept their spirits up. Goat pulls a pipe from the wing. Want to use it along with a fire extinguisher to build a seawater filtration device. Then connect the fire extinguisher to the conduit. Due to size issues, there is a gap between the fire extinguisher and the pipe. This gave him a huge headache, because only if the fire extinguisher and the conduit are tightly connected, the new seawater filtration equipment is working normally. Fortunately, there's a plier in their supplies pocket, repouring all this new force to tie them together. Seawater filtration equipment complete. Now there's just a lack of fire on the Kia side. Fire expert Matt's been busy creating a fire. He uses leaves, dry brush to make a drill and a wooden board as a base of fire, and then pull a handful of dirt from the palm tree. Ignition material is ready. Matt hurried back to camp. Want to show your fire skills in front of my companion. I don't know if I used too much energy before, or by the wrong method. Matt felt the friction wasn't enough. Still can't make a fire, so I called Joe for help. In the next period of time, both of them took turns drilling wood for fire, until your hands are swollen. There is no fire on the wood. This made Matt lose face. But you still think the drill's too wet. You can't successfully light a fire. I'm going to wait until tomorrow to try again. It also means that today is a day without water. Drink. The next morning they both couldn't stand it. We had to rely on a few palms and sea grapes to survive. My eyes still do not forget yesterday's fire. After a thought, do you think the use of bearings from the wheels at the bottom of the plane so that drilling can significant rate of successful ignition? Jay volunteered after listening. Immediately to the wreckage of the plane under the sea, oxygen mask, protective equipment, before this man conquering nature. It's not all worth mentioning. You rely on a little limited vision. Diving into an underwater airplane, endlessly groping, you reel like a fish that lives in the water for a long time. That act very naturally. Soon I found the bearings. It is easy to take 2 small iron bars that can make fish. When you get back to camp, get the bearings. He was in a hurry to improve his fire engine. The next is collaborative. Working together tirelessly, and under the cooperation of both of them, the fire started to smoke white. But there's only white smoke. Expert continuous fire 7 failed 2 times. There is no water on the island. There is no this food either. Under a double mental and physical shock. How long will the eyes and dough last? After trying 100 ways to start a fire, they finally made the spark, and put it in the foam that's prepared. The fire was finally lit. Now the ultimate seawater filtration equipment. It also works. Hot steam will come out of the fire extinguisher, then through the wet towel to cool the ducts. Steam will condense into liquid water. Thinking about having drinking water, they're both very excited. But the reality is again, give them a big slap. A fire extinguisher full of seawater. It only filters a little fresh water, just enough for one of you to wet your lips. Both looked at the meager water and fell into meditation. Joe thought of this. I've seen the back of the island before. There is another island. I don't know what the environment is though. But I think there's only one fan at stake now. You have a chance to survive. Before the issue of survival, the two rarely agree. We decided to go to the island. I thought this trip was a journey of hope. But as they get closer to the island, new problems arise. This part of the sea has very strong outflow. If you risk going into the water, will be swept away by the waves. On the one hand, the island has no hope of survival. One side is hard to come by, but there's hope on the new island. They both definitely chose the latter. They come to the coast to take advantage of the water, to the shore, but they still underestimate the dangers of the sea. Strong water flow cooling, and very hard to control direction. Not only that, there are many kinds of sharks in this area. Different. Right now, there's a shark hovering near them. It's been a bit of a dive right now. There's only one way to hold your breath. Pray not to be spotted by sharks. Fortunately, luck is still there. They made it safely across to the Kia shore. Eyes and Doe breathed a sigh of relief, quickly climbed to the shore, to a new environment. Both are filled with hope for this mysterious island. Look at the forest wrapped around Leo's rope. This time, they both didn't hesitate to get in. Eyes and Doe, dragging the body almost exhausted from dehydration, always swirling in the woods full of Leo's strings. Every step they take now is desperate, because of the stones under the feet and the state of plants. Everybody around is telling them there doesn't seem to be a water source lately, but neither of them dared to speak up, afraid to break hope. The only survivor in the enemy. But even as they both fell into despair, hope to appear in the next corner, a small puddle in front of the fall. Get the attention of both. But with Joe's previous lesson, I don't expect too much. Instead, excited eyes climbed down for a sip. Joe hopefully stared at the cooler. Next second, cool spit out water. Raw seems to be seawater again. Joe 7 is full of hope, but when the cool laugh, Joe immediately understood that he was deliberately teasing me. Now there is water. Both are faced with a new choice. Joe suggested there's no shortage of drinking water. You can move all your stuff here and set up camp here. But Matt thinks the trees here are too dense, not suitable for seeking help. After a thought, both decided to use waterproof bags. Take some water. They returned to the original island to await rescue. Both are full of energy. He soon returned to the original island. The next time they don't rest. It's using airplane debris to signal for help. Where the sea is one. Aircraft case gray-white. It's definitely the best distress signal. On the other side, your eyes are doing the same thing. It's just that you choose branches and palm leaves as a sign for help. Obeying trust. International Rescue Bridge BA points. Eyes do BA identical signs. After finishing everything on the beach, I still feel it's not enough using plane debris as a reflector. Want to use light reflexes to attract the attention of planes and ships back and forth. Joe looked at the signs that he wasn't satisfied, so he turned his eyes to the undersea tail. They're both going into the sea thanks to the buoyancy of the ocean. Easy to pull up the tail and carry it up to the high place on the shore, into the rock slot to stand up. When everything is ready, it's getting dark too. Both are on the sand, just feeling tired and hungry. Wait until the sun rises. We've solved the drinking water problem. They both started worrying about the fire. To survive on a deserted island, there's just enough food to survive. He used airplane debris to build 2 fishes. A tree with prongs that can be thrown like lout. The other tree has a fork that can increase the probability of hitting the fish. After preparing, cool down and enter the shallow water. I now hold the javelin in my hand, like the king of the sea. Just by looking at this, you know the fisherman. How confident is this veteran? While Joe was busy hunting fish, he wasn't idle. He drilled 2 holes in the can, used as a viewfinder for the lao tree, then tie the rubber band to the sides of the can. Principle is like a crossbow that can shoot the lao rod. And then we're off to another shallow water. Matt's holding the javelin right now. Take a close look at the fish in the water. He's targeting the fish this time. This fish is large. Weight can be up to more than 600 pounds. However, this fish is somewhat dangerous. There's a poisonous thorn in their tail. Just get stabbed. People will be paralyzed and die, but Cool doesn't care much about that. If you hunt a stony fish, you and Joe won't have to worry about food. But heaven does not please people. The eye did not hit the target. So you're angry, moving the target to a small puddle after the tide. Withdrawal according to experience, in which there are often some fish that are trapped, not out of the forecast of course. Matt quickly spotted a snapper. This fish is rich in protein. It's a great fit for you and Joe. Prepare your posture. Throw a strong javelin and immediately run to check the javelin. Exactly hit the snapper. It looks like dinner is already there. Wait until the moon cools down. I went back to camp and grilled the fish. Both of them gathered by the fire and shared the grilled fish. It tastes great. I swore to get my honor back. So the next morning he took the javelin and set off. When he got to the beach he found a lionfish. This fish is not an option, best for making food, because it's full of spikes like needles. These spines also contain venom, but in the current situation, there's no better option. I can only hold the javelin against it. Hit 1 shot. To avoid direct contact causing poisoning, Doe uses a knife to remove the spikes on the fish body, leaving only the fresh fish meat. Now my mind is filled with ways of processing fish. But it's not what you want. A plane flying overhead ringing. He tried to wave his hand for help. The eye is also involved in 5 calls for help, but the plane didn't seem to see that, to fly further and further away. Both of you think that asking for help has turned 7, and you're in a very depressed mood. But the surprise is, the plane suddenly turned perfectly. Flying back seems to have just happened. It's just that the naughty pilot teased them a little bit, gave them a joke.